It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McGee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone. Does anybody know what time it is? Dale, do you know what time it is?
What did they say down there on Channel 7? Friday nights about 10:15. Football time, I guess. Football time, I guess.
It's game time, baby.
It's
Brouhaha time, baby.
Yeah.
It's time for the Brouhaha. How you been, brother?
I've been good. I've been doing a little traveling this week, so I'm refreshed and ready to go.
So tell us about your travels. Were they sports related or
No, they were just, there was a couple sports. I went to a soccer practice for my 8-year-old grandson.
Okay. How's he looking? Like a champ?
He's improving a lot.
There we go.
You know how it is. You just got to keep improving. And then my granddaughter, she's in gymnastics, so we went and watched her practice one day.
And how old is she now?
She's 14.
Okay. She's a pretty big deal in that gymnastics stuff, isn't she?
Well, she's like everybody else. She's just trying real hard. And,
yeah.
She's probably not, there's different competition levels. There's some of the girls are in there for, hopefully get a college scholarship.
Right.
Some are on a different path. They want to go to the Olympics,
Yeah.
My granddaughter's kind of decided that she'd just like to do it in college because one day she wants to own her own gym and studio.
Must be nice to be 14 years old and know what you want to do. I'm 68 or 9. I don't even know how old I am. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well, she's done it since she was 4. That's all she knows, really.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Yeah. So, anyway.
What are you going to be when you grow up, Dale?
Well, we had a good time. I don't know. I thought about maybe coaching a college football team. I don't know. Ohio State, Texas, Alabama.
You wouldn't want to go to the one you
Georgia,
love so much up there in Oxford?
Georgia.
You wouldn't want to coach up there?
A lot of pressure up there.
A lot of pressure? Ain't no pressure in Texas or nowhere else
no
like it.
But if they offered, I would consider it.
Yeah.
How much do they pay a coach up there, by the way?
Oh, I don't know. Probably $40,000, I imagine.
I saw where Aaron Rodgers signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers for only $13.5 million. He took a big pay cut.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, Aaron, what do you have to prove, Aaron? You've won a Super Bowl. You've been a 4-time MVP. What do you have to prove to the Steeler fans? Because every quarterback that they've had since Kenny Pickett, Mason Randolph, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, they've all made the playoffs. So what are you going to do different, Aaron? So I'm just thinking, the Steelers they're in this mode, we just want to make the playoffs,
Yeah, playoffs.
But that's better than the Saints are doing lately. At least the Steelers have a resemblance of a veteran quarterback. I don't know if the Saints what they have right now. Well, I think the Saints may be in trouble. The Saints may end up with Arch Manning.
Well, I don't know if that's good or bad for Arch, but I tell you what, he'll be home.
Huh?
He'll be home.
Yep.
I mean, I would think that'd be a place that he'd be happy to be. I don't know. Well, you know what they say, it's no place like home.
Yeah.
You got a lot going on. It's kind of a different feel here about your sideline view this week. Have you noticed that? Is it a different?
Well, I had during the summers you change it so you can write about stuff. It's instead of exactly what happened the week before. You know? And because all the colleges are basically closed down, they're having camps and they're still out there recruiting and going to the beach and doing everything that they do during the summer.
Yeah.
So this is a time to kind of dream about your favorite college team doing really well.
Yeah.
And they had some good news for Southern Miss fans. They think Southern Miss, the magazine I have, Athlon,
Yeah.
said that Southern Miss was going to be better than they were last year. They're going to have more wins.
Well, how many did they have last year?
One.
One.
But they've had them fifth in the Western Division, so that makes them probably 3, 4, 5 wins, which would be good. That's a big improvement. They're going to have the first team All Sun Belt Conference quarterback leading them from last year. So they've got hope down there. If the defense can come around and these 40 transfers work out, then then it might be. Ole Miss, they said the quarterback's got great potential, but is he going to withstand the rigors of a SEC schedule? Will he have capable people around him? Like running backs. Are we going to be able to run the ball this year? Are we going to be able to pass the ball this year? And they think the defense may be the biggest issue because they lost 8 starters from last year, and they lost some first-round draft choices, and they lost all 8 of those starters signed with the NFL teams. Draft. So they got a lot to do, and the Mississippi State fans, you may not, it's just tough up there at Mississippi State right now. They got a little more talent than they had last year. They've got their quarterback that started the year last year, Blake Shapen. He's supposed to be over his injuries, so he will give them a little offensive spark there. But the defense is a long way from being a typical Mississippi State defense of a Dan Mullen or a Jackie Sherrill era.
Yeah, they had some good defenses through the years.
They have, but that's what we talked about this week.
Okay.
So is that off the subject a little bit?
No, it was just that's a great subject. You did a great job. It just seemed to be a little different form, a little more conversational than usually. But I dig that. You're a great conversationalist.
I am.
Yeah, outstanding conversation.
Well, I don't get much practice at home.
Why is that?
I don't know. She said, I'm talking now.
Do you have a little helper in the car? You ever heard that little deal that comes? Have you seen you got a little helper in the car?
I really,
know when to turn, what color the light is, and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, coming to record this today, I go to the stop sign. I don't have anybody. Okay, it's your turn.
You got a little helper in the car.
The light's green.
Glad you told me. I'd never know. Well, before we bury you any deeper, let's just stop right now and you tell us who you got for a guest tonight.
All right, we got a Laurel Leader call sports writer Kevan Lindsey. He's from Wayne County.
Awesome. That's going to be fun.
So we're going to get to talk to him about, I don't know, we're just going to talk to him.
Okay.
We're going to talk to him about a lot of things.
Well, let's just take a break to hear from one of our sponsors, and Dale and I'll be back with tonight's guest, Kevan Lindsey, right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Kevan Lindsey. Kevan, it's good to have you. We had you one other time a couple years ago, or about a year and a half ago, and we really appreciated your time then and again today. And Kevan, I'm going to surprise you a little bit. We're going to talk about sports today. and to start with,
sounds good.
Now, you've got roots in Wayne County, right?
I do. Born and raised.
Born and raised. Okay. Well, that's always good. So you've got a little interest in high school sports, especially if you're raised in this county for sure. So just tell us some deals that you're working on for your football magazine at the Leader Call, and just tell us about maybe some of the top teams or top players, or just ever how you want to handle that.
Right. Yeah. First of all, appreciate being on the show. Obviously, but yeah, grew up and born and raised in Wayne County, and obviously we're kicking off, getting ready to start getting stuff prepared for a football magazine and things like that. Obviously, locally, Wayne County, I think they're going to be a solid team. Dale, you might know more than I do about Wayne County nowadays, but I'm obviously following more Jones and Jasper County, working at the Leader Call, but Jones County, I can tell you, West Jones is probably going to be the standard as far as coming up this year. Corey Reynolds has a great squad, things like that. So they're going to be reloaded, and they've got some great players. You got Lindsey at quarterback, who he's probably going to just mature and grow. He led them to a state championship title win just a couple of years ago. They fell last year to George County. In a tough game, but West Jones is going to be really good. I know this fall, South Jones will probably turn some heads and surprise people. I like what they've got going on there. They've got a good, solid team. I know their coach, Casey Harrington, he just doesn't want to talk about one player. They play really good team ball, and they could upset some people, and they could probably make a run, honestly, in their region and come playoff time. You have Northeast Jones, really good squad there. Again, a lot similar to South Jones in that team aspect where you may not have certain players stand out, but you're going to have good team ball. And in 4A, it's always a tough region, tough classification in 4A. Laurel had a disappointing season last year. Things didn't go their way. Injuries piled up, things like that. But I expect Ryan Ernest to right that ship and get them back going. A lot of people, they're going to look on last year and see their record, but keep in mind, just 2 years ago, they were in a state title game in the 5A state championship. So, there's talent there in Laurel. As far as Jasper County goes, Heidelberg, they're set to reload. Darrell Carter, Wayne County guy, went to Northeast Jones. In high school, Heidelberg is just reloading. What they've got going on there right now with Carter and that team, I could see them, honestly, just looking at their schedule, maybe 1 or 2 losses. There's potential that they could go undefeated on the year. I won't put that pressure on them right now by saying that they have a chance to just run the table. Bay Springs, that's going to be one of the games to watch. Bay Springs and Heidelberg. Bay Springs is going to be a very talented team. I like what Coach Young is doing there as head coach. And then you have Stringer with Dan Brady. He's turning that program around. Stringer, just a decade or so ago, around a decade ago, they won a state championship, and they've been down the past few years as a football team, but Dan is one of the best head coaches, a small ball school in the state, and I like what he's doing there. Been out to see them in the weight room and stuff like that, and I think they're going to be able to turn things around in Jasper County. So that's kind of my assessment.
Well, that's good.
As far as it goes around the county.
Well, that's a good report. So what about statewide? Who are some of the teams that maybe statewide that are going to be pretty good this year that you think?
Everybody is talking about Tupelo. They have a very, very talented team all around. Their running back, his name slips the line, I'm going to be honest with you. But, Tupelo is probably the standard. I know we talked a little bit off air about that they're going to have competition. I think down south, Oak Grove, I think you could see a Tupelo-Oak Grove matchup in the state title game. But you have a ton of teams that could go in the south and represent the South in the 7A state championship. You've got Brandon. You can't forget Ocean Springs down on the coast. There's plenty of teams that could vie for that 7A spot, but Tupelo, I think, is the standard in the MHSAA play. As far as MAIS play, Hartfield Academy, they're kind of in that same standard as far as it goes with Tupelo. I think they're pretty much been widely regarded as the number 1 overall MAIS team. You can't forget about teams like Jackson Prep and stuff like that. Still trying to figure out how they're doing their playoff and state championship seeding and stuff like that. It's they changed all that, so it's different. But Hartfield Academy, as far as academy ball, I think they're the standard.
Yeah, I don't know the full concept of it either, and I may be talking wrong, but they're trying to do like the Mississippi High School did. A few years ago we had 5 state champions, now we have 7, and so they might be.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to, pattern themselves after like that. You know, if you give out more trophies, you make more money. I guess that's the philosophy. I'm not sure, but anyway, but it's nice to be walking around saying you're a state champ. You know, I'm sure it's like Jerry Jones quoted somebody. His grandson won a state championship in Texas out there, and he said, when you win it in Texas, you've arrived, you know. So any state championship arrives you, sort of like that. All right, what's your thoughts on the College World Series? Why that's going to be in this week? You got any favorites? You think LSU and Arkansas have a shot?
Yeah, I think obviously I hate that my team growing up, you know, Auburn. I hate that they got beat over the weekend, but I was sitting on the beach in Pensacola, so I didn't mind it too much. But yeah, I think LSU right now is probably one of the hotter teams, representing obviously. You know, we had 14, I believe it was 14 teams make it in the SEC and the regionals, and we just had a handful get out to make it super regionals. But yeah, I think LSU is probably the favorites right now. Obviously, Coastal Carolina, and being completely unbiased, I mean, what they did with Auburn, beating them in 2 games like that, I think you have to take Coastal very seriously in this College World Series. But I do think that LSU, Arkansas, teams like that, they're going to make some noise. I said early on that I thought Florida State would win it all, but they've been put out. So I'm gonna. Our other reporter over here, he is a big LSU fan, so I'm gonna root for LSU just to support my fellow reporter.
Oh my goodness!
Oh
my!
I know.
I'm gonna ask my pastor to open up the church tonight. Let everybody pray for you and your friend over there.
Oh yeah.
That maybe a conversion will be coming down the line. No.
Well, you know,
LSU is just a tremendous baseball program.
Yeah, they are. You know, I do hate it. You know, we talked about it last week. You had a chance for Southern Miss, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State to make super regionals, and the fact that all three teams got beat before they could host or be in a super regional, and that was a shame. I was at Southern Miss Monday night last week for the Southern Miss and Miami game, and the crowd was hot, and it was just a great atmosphere at Pete Taylor. And when the kid from Miami hit the home run in the second inning, it's like a balloon popped, and Southern just could not get back into that game. So we were all sure hoping here that the 3 Mississippi teams could make a run, and you know, Mississippi State got hot there at the end of the season, and I really thought that they might have been able to get out of that regional at Florida State, but they just weren't able to.
I went down there for the Alabama Southern Miss game, the elimination game. I watched that one, but it was a great atmosphere down there at the Pete. But you know, Ole Miss and Southern just lost by 1 run, and if you look at what's happening, you know, they could have each ended up hosting, you know, a super regional, you know, and probably would have had a chance to, you know, possibly go ahead and advance, you know, but sometime. But Coastal Carolina is such a great story. Kevin, they've won 23 straight in college baseball, man. Come on, that is a lot, you know, especially in Division I.
Right. Yeah, it is a great story. I mean, like I said, I'm not mad about Auburn falling to Coastal just because it's such an impressive thing to do. But yeah, I sure do hate that the 3 Mississippi schools couldn't make it to supers. And you know, we were talking at the office. I've never made the trip to Omaha, so I was sure pulling for a couple of our teams to make it there to try to make the trip to Omaha.
All right, let's just talk for college football just for about the next 3 or 4 minutes before we have to sign off for this segment. Tell us about your thoughts, you know, how you want to go, SEC, nationally, what you're thinking about, who are going to be some of the better teams.
Overall, I think that we've talked about the SEC for the past few years and their dominance, and I feel like that's kind of slipping away. I think that we've gone a couple of years now with no SEC team winning a national championship. Ohio State had a dominant season besides the Michigan game. The playoffs and the expansion, I'll be honest with you, has kind of, between the expansion of the playoffs and the NIL, it's kind of soured my taste to college football a little bit. I want to see them rein that in a little bit. But, overall, I think that Ohio State will be back. Obviously, you've got Georgia, Texas. I'm excited to see what Arch Manning will do at Texas. I think that's a very intriguing story. I'd like to see what Tennessee is going to do. Their quarterback transferred. What are they going to look like? What's Alabama going to look like? Or are they going to go back to what they were their Nick Saban's prime years? Or are they going to be an 8, 9, 10 win maybe team? Are they going to be in that spot with Kalen DeBoer? What's Lane Kiffin going to do? I'm really excited about their quarterback. I'm really excited about their team. I think that they're going to be solid. What's Jeff Levy going to do at Mississippi State? Like, how is he going to turn that program around? There's a lot of interesting storylines, especially within the SEC and even Mississippi ball. As a scope, how is Southern Miss going to do with Huff being there? What's that team going to look like? We joked at the office. It's been a running joke that it's the Southern Miss Golden Herd because of how many transfers have been to Southern Miss. I mean, that's half their team from Marshall left to come to Southern Miss. So that's going to be a completely different look in Hattiesburg this fall. So I'm interested in seeing that. And, of course, you open up with Mississippi State and Southern Miss. And, if this team jails early, Mississippi State could be on upset alert to Southern Miss.
Well, I tell you what, I got to holler for those Golden Eagles. I love them to death. Listen, let me ask you just a quick question. We're about out of time. Is the playoff format next year for the football, is it going to be the same, or are they changing it anyway, or has that even been discussed?
I think they're on the verge of expanding the playoff again. I think this is our last go-around of the playoff format that we have now. I think that they're going back into an expansion again. Okay. They changed the seeding now. So.
Do you think that? Let me just ask you a question. I've been curious about this. I love SEC football. I mean, don't get me wrong, but is the SEC and the Big Ten a little too bullish with this? Are they ruining college football by saying you have to take 4 teams from our league? Should it be like it is in every other sport? Hey, let's take the 16 best. I mean, why do you require?
That's what I think. Yeah. I'm fully on board with taking the 16 best. I mean, that's the way I've been from the start. You take the 16 best. You can cry about having a weaker schedule or harder schedule. You can cry about that all day or all night, whatever you want to do. At the end of the day, these teams, they make their own schedules. Obviously, we know SEC play is tough. We know Big Ten play is tough. But, for years, prior to the playoff expansion, you would have a SEC team playing at McNeese State or South Alabama or Furman or all of these programs. They would put these powder puff teams on the schedule. And I don't think there's much to complain about. So I think you just take the 16 best, 12 best, whatever you want to do, and it comes out in the wash. Simply put, it just comes out in the wash. I don't think that we should have a set number of teams making the playoffs out of a division.
Hey, Ken, we appreciate that. I told you in our little pre-recording interview that I'd come a time where I'd say we were out of time, and we're there, my friend. Listen, we want to thank you for taking your time to be with us today and be a part of our show. We appreciate you, and we're going to ask you to hold on for just a minute. Dale and I are going to take a break to hear from one of our sponsors and be back with tonight's final segment of the Brouhaha right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody, to the final segment of tonight's Brouhaha. How you feeling so far, Dale?
Hey, I think we just got a good report, and so I'm already getting excited. What is it, like 80 days to football season?
Is that right? 80 days?
College football.
I don't know if I can make it that long.
It's less than that to high school. They open up on, August 22nd?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
I mean, listen, that's it. Yeah, I mean, come on now. We're getting close. You know? We're getting close.
Changing topic here, we think about these professional teams, and I came across something the other day, and I just thought I'd just hit you with a couple of questions here. How much each NFL team last sold for? Now you go back to this deal with the Cowboys, and I mean, let's see here. Jones bought them, and I can't remember what he paid for them, but they are worth. Let's go back to this one. The last time the Ravens sold, they bought $600 million.
They brought
That's not much.
$600 million.
I wouldn't think so. I think these teams are worth more than that. Listen to this. I can believe this. The Bengals, the last time they sold, they bought $8 million, according to this.
Well, the Browns bought them. The family, the great coach. What was his name of the 50s and 60s? The coach
Paul Brown.
Paul Brown bought them with some investors, and that was like in 1969.
That's a lot of money.
That was their first year, 68 or 69. That was their first year in the league.
I love this one. What do you think the Steelers last sold for?
Well, now,
This is a good one, boy.
I would think the Steelers would be back in what, the 30s or the 40s?
They sold, the last time they sold, man, I'd just like to go buy them for this today. Let's see, $2,500. Let's see, yeah, that's right, 2.5K,
I mean,
that's 2,500, ain't it?
Yeah, that Rooney family's had that team for what, 70, 80 years now?
Been a while,
Mm-hmm.
The Jaguars, let's see here. Here's one, the Titans. I can't hardly believe this one. I don't think they'd been around that long. 25,000. The Dolphins, 1.1 billion. Man. Well, let's see.
Now, the Titans were the Houston Oilers before.
Yeah.
And they became an expansion team in 1960 with the AFL before they combined leagues. So that might have been their upfront money to get into the league because that I think the daughter of the original owner is still running the team.
That does seem to happen. I mean, you get those families and they go.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 or 4 women owners now.
The Chiefs got one, don't they?
The who?
The Chiefs?
No, they got Lamar Hunt. He's
or
Clark Hunt, what his name is.
Okay.
But the Saints have got one. Gail Benson, and
I was going to look at the Cowboys. It says here, we know they're worth billions today.
Yeah,
I think over $4 billion.
Yeah.
Well, the last time they sold was $140 million. Jerry Jones knows how to make a deal, doesn't he? I mean, if that's true, I mean, good.
Well,
great.
you know the thing about a lot of the great guys like that, which I'm not down in Jerry Jones for any reason because you don't know why things happen for a reason. It could be the economy or just your location or what it is. But Jerry Jones had gone bankrupt and still came up with that much money to buy the team. And once you buy the team, that's just to buy the team. Now you got to pay players, you got to pay office staff, you got to pay rent or what it is. You got to fly the people around. It's just
he's done well with it.
Yeah, I was looking up one that I'd like to know about was what Jerry actually paid for that team. He bought it in '89, didn't he?
Jerry
Jones, yeah.
Well, let's see. If he was the last time it sold, it says $140 million.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's
Okay,
correct.
well, what other team that I want to know about? I can't remember. Al Davis probably got the Raiders for a pretty cheap price.
Well, it says the Raiders last sold for $180,000.
Yeah, that would have been probably. I think he ended up buying them in the mid-60s.
Yeah. Just win, baby.
Well, that's pretty good because when that league started, everybody had to put up $25,000, and 5 or 6 years later, he bought it for $185,000. That means by then, But now television pushes everything. Once that league got a TV contract,
How you doing?
they were there. And I used to really. I grew up a Baltimore Colt fan, so I was an
Johnny U man.
Yeah, I was an NFL fan all my life. All my life. I was only about. I wasn't that old when the AF. But immediately I started liking the Kansas City Chiefs. But then after a while, when Joe Namath went to the Jets, it's not that I didn't. It's not that I didn't. I was still a Chiefs fan back in the '60s when I had Lenny Dawson quarterback and all those
Jim
guys,
Lynch,
all those guys like that.
Yeah.
That was my team of that era and the Colts, And so I was always excited when one of them got in the Super Bowl. But what was strange about it was that in the '60s, mid '60s, Joe Namath was so popular in the South that they started showing all the Jets games. And then in the afternoons, that'd be the early game. Then in the afternoons, if they were going to do a 3:00 game like it was, you'd see the Chargers or the Raiders.
from the West Coast.
Or Denver. You would have one of those.
I remember that.
And so, that was exciting because I get to see the Chiefs 3 or 4, 5, 6 times a year, because of playing those teams, and plus when they play the Jets. But, football, I love football back in those days.
Yeah.
I just can't.
You don't love it anymore?
Probably not as much as I think I love other things more now.
Hey, well, you traitor.
It's not
You traitor.
It was at the top of my list. And then slowly as I got more, how do you say, I got more mature.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to quit. Dale got more mature. So this ball game is over. Woo, the final buzzer has sounded. We're out of time. But listen, man, we want to appreciate Kevin Lindsey for being, let him know we appreciate him for being with us tonight. Dale, I appreciate you. You're a pretty good old boy most of the time. But anyway, we want to remind our listeners that you can follow us on our Facebook page at the Brouhaha, and all of the shows, 3 years worth of them are cataloged on our YouTube channel at the Brouhaha, and you can listen to them on demand at your listening pleasure. Come on, sir, what you got?
That's almost 150.
Oh man, that's a lot of shows, isn't it? A lot of shows.
So should we have a celebration?
Let's do. We're going to work on a celebration, and we'll let you folks know what it's going to be all about. Maybe we can all get together and have a really good time. But for now, it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Goodbye. Goodbye, Dale. Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale, and we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Del McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.